Welcome to the Grow to Amazing podcast. This is Tony Mays, your host. I am very happy to be with you today and very thankful for everyone that's tuning in. Today, I have two people that I'm just starting to get to know, so this might be an interesting episode, but their names are Rebecca Rouse and Joel Del Rosario. They are the founders and owners of a fitness group called Semper Stronger. They are both United States Marines. Joel is active duty. Rebecca is if it's retired or
I was
not
never
retired. Yeah, just
It's just a supportive spouse.
I'm just
oh, just a supportive spouse. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you actually were in the
I mean,
Marines
she
as well.
could be, but
You could have been. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
could have been.
Definitely. So I'm very happy to have them here today. I got familiar with them kind of from how you got to be sponsored by Jocko and Jocko podcast and Origin and just kind of the publicity that came along with that, and just inspired by their workouts and their attitude and just the way that they took things by the horns through COVID and starting to build a business. So we'll talk about my challenges that they're going to help me with a little bit later on, but I wanted to give them a chance to introduce themselves. So Rebecca, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go from there?
Absolutely. Thanks again so much for having us on. It's great to put a face to the name now that we've connected through social media and through Semper Stronger. So a little bit of my background. I grew up doing competitive gymnastics. So that's kind of where I got my foundation for athletics and strength and also discipline, which kind of was instilled in me from a young age as a young gymnast. I started at age 3. I started competing at age 7, and I competed all the way up until I got into high school. And then in high school, I kind of focused more on academics than sports, and just really kind of buckled down and focused on AP classes in college and getting, all the admissions and all that stuff. So I ended up going to the University of Maryland for college, which is where I met Joel. And during college, that's kind of where I got introduced to the weight room and started to get into strength training, since prior to that, I had just been a gymnast and never really had a formal introduction to weights. So kind of fell in love with it. It started out more of the bodybuilding style, focusing on body part splits, and Monday was chest day and Tuesday was back day, and so on and so forth, till you get the whole body by the end of the week. And very much a bodybuilder style training, but that's what got me started, and falling in love with strength training and putting on muscle and just feeling strong and being strong, and seeing the changes that my body was going through as I learned more about it, and focus on putting on muscle mass. So after college, my first job was a personal trainer at Equinox. And I was
Where's Equinox?
Equinox is all over. It's a chain. It's all across the country, but I worked in California at the time. And so I started out personal training. I thought it was going to be more of a short-term situation while Joel was doing his officer training for communications officers course. And I knew we were going to be moving again, so I thought it would be a short-term thing, but I ended up
Marine Corps family tradition, right?
moving all the time. But I ended up falling in love with training and training clients and helping other people reach their goals, whether it was body fat loss or muscle gain, strength gain, training for an event, whatever it was. I just loved the process and helping people get there. So turned into a long-term thing. I spent 6.5 years at Equinox, went from trainer to fitness manager to personal training manager. Learned a lot about leadership and team building, and all along the way, just still focusing on my own goals and helping others reach theirs. And so during the pandemic, everything shut down. Gyms were closed for a very long time, and we just took that opportunity to pivot. And so I left Equinox in August of last year, and Joel and I started Semper Stronger, started working on it earlier in the year, and officially launched in September. And here we are.
Awesome. Great. I'm sure I got some questions I can think of for that, but we'll let Joel talk a little bit first, and then we'll kind of dig into that a little bit more. So
good.
Well, I've been in the Marine Corps now 16 years, and I plan on being in for another 4 years since I can retire at 20. But like Rebecca mentioned, I met her at University of Maryland. The Marine Corps sent me to Maryland. I was prior enlisted, sent me to Maryland to become an officer. So first you got to get a degree in order to become an officer. And so the Marine Corps sent me there. I got my degree and became an officer, and took her with me everywhere else I went. So
that was what year? What year did you graduate from there?
Graduated in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure she wasn't expecting to be moving around as much, and so I made that for sure her life a little challenging, but she was a great team player along the way. Sure. Even when I had to go to places like the high desert in California, where 29 Palms
29
is.
Palms, yep.
Oh yeah.
My sister's husband. My sister's husband was actually in the Marine Corps back in the early mid '90s, and she lived at 29 Palms for a couple of years. I think he was stationed out there, so she has some lovely memories of that place.
The horror stories, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, horror stories, yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah. So it's I love being a Marine. I'm a Marine 24/7. It keeps me busy. He's been with me through deployments, and even now that I am the Marine officer instructor at Rutgers and Princeton in New Jersey, I don't necessarily deploy anytime while I'm here, so it gave me a little more time to spend with her, and we've developed ourselves through leadership and have helped each other. She's helped me a lot with my physical fitness, because as Marines, we don't necessarily focus on form or stretching or anything like that. We just go hit the gym hard and just worry about getting strong. But I learned so much through her and with her that now I can safely say that I am much better now, much more effective now, much more mobile now, much more healthier now than I was before I met her. So now I can last the entire 20 years and still feel young. So it's made it very interesting. We're now moving from New Jersey sometime soon again. We're going to Dallas and New Orleans.
Okay.
And we'll continue to do our journey. So it's been very, very exciting. I do mostly for Semper Stronger. I do the back end stuff. So I'll do the websites, and I'll focus on any troubleshooting and designing. So she's the face, and I am the kind of like operations officer in the background.
Gotcha. Well, that's the great thing about having a virtual business like this, is that it doesn't really matter where you are, and that was kind of what appealed to me as well, as working with you guys. So yeah. So what have the challenges been getting it off the ground so far for both of you?
I'd say, well, first of all, he's got, he's still active duty, so he's got that responsibility, and he's also involved in a couple other businesses. He does real estate investing, and he can talk to that more. But so he's, has a lot of balls in the air at one time. So I've kind of forced me to become as independent as I could be in this whole journey. It's my first time owning a business, starting a business, so I had so much to learn. Yeah. We've been I've been all over the country, and my family was in California. I was out there for the holidays. I took a trip to Texas. So just, learning how to navigate the distance between the two of us and still get everything done, make sure my clients are well served and taken care of, because in addition to the membership that you're a part of, I have 10 one-on-one clients that I train as well. And so I'm making sure their programs are always up to date, and I'm in touch with them every single day. So just figuring out, prioritizing, managing time, and then just making sure that we're staying, everything's up to date, the website's functioning, Joel's doing all that stuff. So just so many things that require a business to run, and learning how to prioritize and allocate enough time in the day to each of those things.
And still have a marriage at the same time and that kind of thing too, right?
Yes. Being the same. When we're together, like we're all day, every day, from wake up till go to sleep, we're together, and we have fun, and we're a great team. So
yeah, we have a blast doing it.
Yeah. So what, if you could kind of distill down your fitness philosophy and put it in a bottle or something like that, how would you go about describing it?
That is a great question. So obviously the name of our brand is Semper Stronger. So we believe wholeheartedly and passionately about making people strong, helping people become stronger, because I can't think of anything in life that isn't easier if you're stronger. Sure. So, and that it goes for physical strength and mental strength. And that's kind of where the name came from, Semper coming from Semper Fidelis, but stronger embodying the physical and mental aspects of being, for him, a service member, and for me, a military spouse, and all the things that come with that, from moving to all over the country, things changing at the last minute, training, deployment, distance, different time zones, all that stuff. So that's kind of where the name came from, and everything that we do for ourselves and for our members and our clients, it's all about helping people get stronger, persevere through the tough times, and understanding how training your body to be strong can also translate in other aspects of life, and just make you a better, stronger person and be able to persevere through things that maybe you once thought you couldn't do.
Yeah. You're nodding a lot, Joel, so I'm assuming you'd agree with that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The how physical strength transitions over or translates to mental strength, or it can. I think that's a huge part of why we named it Semper Stronger. There are so many challenges in this world that you mentioned, especially last year. We saw that there were a lot of challenges that came up, and the people who were resilient had I won't say easier time, but they were able to get through it much more efficiently than people who've never been challenged before. And physical challenge can easily translate to being or conquering those physical challenges can translate to help you conquer the mental, emotional, spiritual challenges that come along.
Mm-hmm. Do you see that a lot with your Marines and things like that, where they'll kind of go through those up and down cycles over the course of their career if they get comfortable, or any number of things can happen, I guess, that can cause them to get in that type of a funk?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, even in the Marine Corps, we sometimes fall in the idea that we get too comfortable with what's going on, or we allow ourselves to kind of be comfortable with the way that we are without improving. I like to say that, and we like to say actually, that if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards, right? So you got to try to move forward every single day, and be better today than you were yesterday, and be better tomorrow than you are today. And through the Marine Corps focuses a lot on physical fitness and getting strong, because obviously we need it for deployments and to be able to perform when we need to. But it, like I mentioned before, it translates to a lot of things that they do in a day-to-day life, and we can mirror those lessons that we learn through physical accomplishments, and then talk about how we can become better leaders. How do we become stronger individuals mentally? How can we help others? And that, I think, in the Marine Corps, when I see Marines that are in a slump, a lot of things tend to go away, tend to go to the wayside, and that's physical fitness is one of them. So if you can get them back,
is that usually first? Do you think you see from people?
Sometimes you do see it first. I mean, there's in boot camp, you have no choice but to be physically fit in order to graduate.
Are you a Parris Island, or are you a?
I'm a Parris Island.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a Hollywood Marine, as I like to call it. So,
sorry, my brother-in-law was a San Diego boy, so
it's we got the. I mean, we go back and forth with Marines from Parris Island versus San Diego, and we always give each other a hard time. But we're all Marines, and at the end of the day, and we all have when you have the eagle over an anchor, and you become you get the title as of a Marine, we're all brothers and sisters. But yeah, like I mentioned before, the getting Marines through those physical challenges can help them get through a lot of other challenges they have in their personal life, including relationship challenges and maybe even financial challenges. You just have to find a way to get through Marines, and a lot of sometimes that way is to get to them through physical fitness, and they open up a little more and they become a lot more confident in themselves to be able to perform and to get through those obstacles that come on a day-to-day basis.
Sure. Rebecca, what would you say kind of your biggest challenge making that switch from just working out to being a fitness instructor, or a trainer? How was that switch for you? Did it work pretty easily, or did you have how did that go?
It was challenging. I think I lacked confidence back then. I was 23 years old when I got my first job as a trainer, and I had never trained anybody really, even informally. Like, I never trained any family or friends. I just kind of was jumping into it because I thought it was going to be a short-term thing. And I was just like, I'll get a job so I can make some money for a year while I figure out what I want to do with my life. So I didn't have any experience. I had very little confidence. And the only person I had ever trained was myself. So it was a big curve for me to, one, it was like a lot of the people skills, because I had been a student for my whole life, and I had a couple jobs through college, but nothing too crazy. So just learning how to engage with people and connect with people, and then also find what their pain points are. What are they struggling with? Being empathetic while talking to them and understanding what their struggles are, and then designing a program that would help them reach their goals efficiently and effectively, and then get them to enjoy it enough that they want to keep coming back for more, day after day, week after week, and month after month. So there was a lot of learning that happened during that period of time, but it was great. And it really formed the foundation for me to get to where I am now as a business owner and still coaching myself and my clients. So it's been fantastic.
Do you have a success story that you can think of?
I'd say my biggest success stories, and I love to talk about these stories, not one in particular, but kind of a theme, is when I have client stories that there's usually a moment, like an aha moment for clients when they come to me. Most clients come to me because they want to lose weight or whatever. And, it's everyone has their 10 pounds or their whatever amount of weight that they want to lose. And so obviously through programming, largely through strength training, that happens. But it's pretty quick when the transition shifts from the focus on weight loss to, oh, wow, I really feel strong. My posture is better. I feel like just stronger moving through my life. And so my favorite success story is when clients realize how what we've done together in the gym or in their program translates into their everyday life. And when they're like, I don't have to ask my husband to pick up the water bottles when we go to Costco because I'm strong enough to do it myself.
Sure.
And so it's usually those moments. And I have helped clients achieve significant strength goals or achieve PRs in certain lifts, but it's really those moments when clients realize that what we're doing in the gym matters so much more than just in that workout. It translates to everything else in their daily life, and everything gets easier when you get stronger.
Yeah. And I think our first interaction, probably you had a post around New Year's or something about kind of getting back on track. And I think I posted some comment on it about being off the rails or something. And that's been our struggle lately, or my struggle. I shouldn't say ours. Mine. We're in this transition phase. We're actually with my in-laws at the moment, and it's a space crunch type thing. And so I've used that as kind of an excuse to there's lots of excuses there. None of them are good. And so this is kind of my call out to myself for this, to have you guys on here is to get myself back on track with that. And because I've definitely been in shape in my life, and I haven't really talked a lot about this on the podcast yet, but I'm 51 now, but when I was 30, or no, we was at 2009, 2010, I was into triathlons, and I did 2 Ironman triathlons and ran those. I was working with a trainer then, and we were doing strength training, but it was really more of a core strength and leg strength, and not building muscle, but more building endurance type strength training. So I got those Ironman triathlons under my belt, and then got married, started having kids and things like that, and life, and a couple surgeries later. So it's been a heck of a journey the last 5 years personally, is that I've had 3 major surgeries, including like bowel surgery, ankle surgery, and then from the ankle surgery, I got a blood clot in my left leg that I had to have surgery on as well. So it's been kind of a fight to get things going. But right before we moved here, I had gotten into a kind of a workout of the day type gym. It wasn't CrossFit, but it was kind of like a CrossFit type gym, not quite as regimented on things there as a typical CrossFit gym, but it was really good. And I had gotten to the point where I was turning that corner strength wise, like you were talking about, and then we had to move. So that really kind of upset the apple cart, but it was more, I think, because I let it upset the apple cart, and just the circumstances of nothing wrong with the family we're staying with here. Things have been great. It's just being out of your element. I think I let it throw me too much for a loop fitness wise. So I don't know. Any thoughts or questions from your side? We can kind of turn this interview around a little bit. And
Well, I think your self-awareness is admirable. I think the fact that you're able to identify what's happening or what has happened and the reasons. I think you have some valid reasons too. I mean, 3 surgeries and having kids and moving, like that's a lot to handle it at once when life throws sometimes one lemon, but you've got quite a few lemons. So
yeah,
that you have to deal with right now. So, kudos to you for handling it all. And then especially for being able to recognize what's going on and do something about it. Because I think I would argue most people know that they should probably work out and probably should eat well, but it's really what makes the difference. Like, knowledge is great, but action is what's really going to make the difference. Action is power. So, I think, the fact that you've joined our community and you're taking it upon yourself to go in the right direction and to actually take action and start getting back on track. That's what's really going to make the difference, because you can know all the things, but it's not going to matter until you actually do something about it.
Yeah, and it was fun too, because I had my boys, we were reading Jocko's kids' books, and they were just going crazy with getting up at 6:30 in the morning, and we were doing morning workouts. And it's been a lot more difficult here for a variety of reasons with we have a 1.5-year-old that doesn't really like to sleep at night and things like that, and a bunch of excuses, but they love to do those things with us. So, I'll have some hangers on for some of this, I'm pretty sure, for a lot of it. But so I think that's the best reason, other than, my own fitness and my own goals and things like that, is I need to show them that they can do this as part of their normal life as well. And and they love doing it too. So especially my 7-year-old is crazy about this kind of stuff. So, and he could wrestle every day and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If the family is involved or significant others are involved in the fitness journey, it makes it that much more enjoyable, and then it's almost like a goal for the family. So it makes it a little easier than trying to do it on your own.
Yeah.
I think it's important too for parents to lead by example.
Yeah, I can't tell my kids to work out, if I don't do anything, right?
Exactly. You want to show them how it's done, not tell them what to do. But if they see you doing it, they're much more likely to follow suit, especially when they're younger and impressionable. They might go through that rebellious stage later on where they want to do whatever you're not doing, do the opposite of what you're doing. But while they're still young, and show them what they're capable of and what's possible.
Exactly. So why don't you talk a little bit about what programs you have to offer and where you want, what you've got right now? Is there anything where you want to take it from there? Things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we first launched in September, it was just one-on-one clients that I was taking on. And we had when we first launched, we just had one kettlebell program available. And then that was in September. So over the course of, 7 months now, we've grown our program library to 5 programs, and those are available to anybody. They're on our website. And then the most recent addition is the membership, which obviously you're familiar with since you are now a member. So in January, we launched the
and I am still paying for it, by the way. So, but I'm not expecting it to be comped or anything like that. I'm happy to pay for it because
we appreciate the support.
Yeah.
So we have
I just wanted everybody to know that on the podcast too, is that I'm not doing this just because. So this is something I need to do. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, we appreciate it so much. Yeah. So in January, we launched the membership option. So it was, when we first started, it was just the body weight option. So we have every single day a body weight workout of the day that's released. And then all of our members in the community also have access to the 5 programs in the program library that I mentioned for a discounted rate. And then just about a week and a half ago, we launched the kettlebell membership option as well. So now we have a kettlebell workout of the day and a body weight workout of the day. So that was one of the biggest pieces of feedback that I got when we first launched the body weight was, this is a great idea, but we would like kettlebells, because I do have a lot of followers on Instagram that are kettlebells, because I myself love kettlebells and I post a ton of kettlebell content. So it was the natural next step was to add that kettlebell membership as well. And that's been largely successful, a lot more successful than the body weight. So definitely going to keep going with that and growing it. And that's probably as far as we'll go with the workout of the day aspect. We absolutely are going to continue to add more programs to the program library. Next program that we launch will be in probably late April. That's going to be like a back to the gym type of program that'll integrate more of the gym equipment, since a lot of people are now back to the gym. Mm-hmm. And then our plan to grow is probably going to be to add some coaches who can take on one-on-one clients. We have gotten quite a few applications for one-on-one training, and I am pretty much at capacity right now with my 10 clients. So I can't clone myself. So I will probably bring bring some more coaches on, and then as those applications come through, start to, build out more Semper Stronger coaches. Maybe down the road have some sort of certification that we can do. I would love to be, kind of like my dream is to be able to travel to, wherever in the country and be able to talk about kettlebells and strength training and fitness.
Sure. Do seminars and things like that.
Yeah, do seminars, teach strength training to as many people as I can. So.
Yeah, and I think another part of that is, since we're in the world of military, and we know a lot of law enforcement, and we know a lot of first responders as well. And we know that they have to be physically ready to perform their duties. We also would love to be able to connect with them and be able to support them in the things that they do. So police officers, any kind of first responders, firefighters, military members, all those that and teaching them how to best be able to move and get strong and stay healthy. Try to reduce the amount of injuries and perform at their job the best way possible. And I think that's something else that we want to eventually be able to do.
Because I can imagine with the stress that they have on their jobs, that something like this is something they need probably more than they think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you have a chance to listen to my podcast from March 31st, I had one of my surgeons on I had a bout of diverticulitis and I had bowel surgery, and my surgeon from that, she had a long career of single mom to rescue diver to paramedic to firefighter to almost an FBI agent, but then decided to go to medical school and then is now a surgeon. So
wow, that's quite a resume.
Yeah. But the one time she really lost her way was in her residency, when she got to working too much, and fitness and family and faith and things like that all went by the wayside. And that's when she struggled the most. So it was kind of taking a break from that and getting back into those things that really got her back on track.
Yeah. And that's when those things, when you start to realize that you're so inundated with everything else, and you start forgetting a little bit about what got you to that point. And you kind of have to take a look internally to kind of recalibrate yourself. And I think some of us, a lot of us have to do that, and it happens every now and then.
No, don't tell me that. I don't think you've ever been out of shape, have you? Don't give me that one.
I mean, I've been in because of the Marine Corps, I think it's forced me to kind of stay in shape. And being her husband, it's not easy. If I get out of shape, then I may lose my spot. So can't do that.
Well, I do know, I had a friend of mine from the triathlon world that he is now a colonel in the Air Force Reserve, but he is an awesome athlete, and he was always the one tasked with training the Air Force, the people in his Air Force detachment that were marginal physically, with the physical test, to get them back into enough shape to be able to pass their physical fitness test. So he would always, it was a tough journey with people that have let things go that far, I can imagine. So, but
yeah, I mean, it happens, but they can get back on it. And they did it once, and I tell my Marines, when you were forced to do it in boot camp, you have it in you. So we just got to find out what that why is for you and get you back on there.
Sure. So why kettlebells? Where did you guys get into kettlebells? And if you check them out on Instagram, there's either Semper Stronger, there's Rebecca Rouse, there, Joel. What's your Instagram handle, Joel?
Joel Blades, like rollerblades, but with Joel.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. But there's all kinds of content on there talking about that. But where did you get into kettlebells?
So that was me mostly. I learned from me. So but for me, I learned at Equinox when I first became a trainer. At Equinox, one of the things I love about my experience there was the education that they provided for their trainers. So there was a whole curriculum of required education for every single trainer at Equinox. And so I went through that whole curriculum, but then they also offered continuing education opportunities for Equinox trainers. And one of the first ones that I did shortly after I started working there was the kettlebell athletics. It was just like a very intro basic kettlebell users course. It was a 2-day workshop, and I went there, and it was fine. At the time, it wasn't this like aha thing, like, oh my gosh, I love kettlebells. It was just like, cool, I have a new tool in my toolbox. I'll start working on it myself. I'll start using them with my clients. And then over the course of the years that followed, I started training with them a little bit more. Some of the other trainers on my team also use them. And so I learned from them and just kind of practiced and learned Turkish get-ups and learned how to snatch and just kind of worked my way up into learning more of those movements and refining my technique and learning more and more. And then in 2016, somebody told me about Strong First, and that is one of the more renowned certifications for kettlebells. It's kind of like the gold standard in the kettlebell world as far as kettlebell training goes. So they were hosting a certification weekend, and to get the level 1 cert is a 3-day, very intense, grueling physical course. And that was in San Diego, and I was living in San Diego, so it was just down the street. And I signed up in 2016, and I attended, and I passed. And so that was kind of where I was indoctrinated with like hardstyle kettlebell training and met an incredible community of other kettlebell practitioners and coaches. And it's a really strong network, like actually strong, physically strong, but then just strong, cohesive network of kettlebell athletes and coaches. And so since then, I've just met more people, learned more. I got the level 2 certification in 2019. And I fell in love with them. And I also love that they are very portable. Joel and I have done 2 cross-country road trips, and we took our kettlebells everywhere we went.
I'm sure movers gotta love you guys, but you don't exactly have the light kettlebells either. So
we've got the whole range. But so yeah, I think for my own training and for our constant travels, they've been great. And then just for training all different types of clients, I always, on every podcast that I've been on, and people always ask me why kettlebells, I think that one of the best things about them is their versatility, and that no matter what fitness goal you have, kettlebells can help you get there, whether it's strength, whether it's athleticism and power, explosiveness, whether it's conditioning and endurance, weight loss, muscle gain. It really does everything, and it just depends on how you program it, and they're just phenomenal.
Awesome. Joel, from your side?
For me, it was a little different. It was, when I first saw her doing it, and I was just like, what is that? That's not a dumbbell. What am I going to do with that? And as a Marine, my Marine mindset was like, I'll stick to barbells. I'll stick to doing my chest day, my back day, my leg day. I'll keep doing that because that's what I knew. And then as time went on, and she started showing me a little more, I started to understand the benefits of it. And then deployment hit. When deployment came along, I was restricted.
Where were you deployed to?
I went on a MEU, which is a Marine Expeditionary Unit.
Oh, okay.
Where we go inside of the ship. Yep, with the Navy. And so you're limited in space on a ship, very limited. There are thousands of people in a small ship, and you're stuck together with a lot of people in one room. And the gym is the size of a living room, and you have to kind of get everyone in there. But the flight deck, or the space outside of the ship, there's a lot of space out there, but there are no weights. So that's where kettlebells come in. You can take kettlebells on the flight deck, and you can do a full workout out there, and you can take them with you everywhere you go on deployment, even if you go to Iraq, Afghanistan, all those things. And so I started to fall in love, like she said, with how versatile and how you can just pack them up and take them as a carry-on if you want. Sure. I mean, it's a heavy carry-on, you can take them with you. And
you just get a lot of Navy guys staring at you, but then who cares what the Navy guys think anyway?
Yeah, he's like, what? And they'll even if they stare, they're curious. You get to show them how to do it. And really, all you really need, like if you don't have 2 kettlebells, all you need is one good heavy kettlebell that's heavy enough to do all your workouts, and you can get it all in there. So on deployment, I fell in love with kettlebells and came back, and I learned more from her, and that's history pretty much. We took them on a road trip, and we went from the West Coast to the East Coast here in New Jersey. So we went from California to New Jersey, and every state we went through would stop at the welcome sign, and we do a kettlebell workout in front of the welcome sign. And so that's on our Instagram. So it's a pretty cool little show that we put on there. Sometimes we got some weird looks from people. A lot of honks.
Sure.
But it was a lot of fun, and it just displayed how versatile they were.
Awesome. How many states do you have down?
Oof. That's a great question. We need to count. We've hit a lot of states on our various road trips. So
yeah. So for our RV travels, they've got these it's kind of like a magnetic thing of the United States you can add states to as you go across it. So you could look at that and see if you can get one of those to fill it out. And
that'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should do that.
Do you have Wisconsin yet?
We're gonna do another one from New Jersey down to Texas or New Orleans, depending on which one we'll do first.
So are you going to be doing the same ROTC thing down there, or is this a different posting?
No, this is a different thing. I only get to do this once or potentially twice in my career, but for where I am in my career, only once. And so down in New Orleans, I'll be transitioning from the active component, and I'll be transitioning to the active reserve, and I'll be training reservists down in New Orleans. So I'll be there. She'll be in Dallas, and so we'll be doing the Geo Bachelor thing, which we're used to. So I'll be traveling to see her every now and then, but I'll be in New Orleans for 2 years, and then I'll eventually end up in Dallas for my last 2, and then we can.
Okay. What do you guys find from a marriage perspective really helps keep things strong with distances like that?
I think having our shared values. I mean, we both have a very clear vision for our future, which is why we've been willing to sacrifice and do the distance thing probably more than we really had to, because we chose to, knowing that we were doing it for the advancement of our individual careers. So having that shared vision and shared values has kept us working hard on ourselves and on our marriage to each other to continue to advance forward and better ourselves as individuals so that we can better ourselves as a couple, and then ultimately our future. So obviously we're both very passionate about strength and fitness and sharing that message with the world. And so every day when we get up in the morning and we're both, glued to our computers and focused on our mission, at the end, when we go to sleep at night, exhausted from the day and that much closer to achieving our goals, we know we're in it together and we're doing it for the right reasons. So it's work. It's
a lot of communication, sounds like.
Communication is key.
Communication is absolutely key. Navigating different time zones, and we were across the country for quite a while from each other. So learning understanding and being flexible, semper gumby, as they say in the Marine Corps, being flexible, being understandable, and communicating well and communicating often, for sure.
I think also expectation management. Pretty much just exactly what it sounds like, just letting her know and she letting me know what to expect before we go apart, and talk about that and say, we will talk, whenever we can, or we'll set expectations and we'll meet those expectations. And so that way there are no hard feelings ever. And if there's ever any time where there is a miscommunication or maybe a disagreement, we'll discuss it, and we'll be completely transparent about it. And I think that helps a ton when it comes to being in relationships that are long distance.
Yep. I was actually, I used to travel a lot for work, so I would be for the first. So my wife and I got married in 2011. I traveled the 7 weeks before our wedding and then the 7 weeks after, and had to leave about 2 days after our wedding to go back on the road again. So that was a great beginning to the marriage. But then for the 4 years after that, 4 to 5 years after that, I was pretty much traveling every other week. So it's the same thing. You got to make time for the family. You got to communicate. You got to go work together. And Rebecca did kind of throw me a little loop a little info that you may not have necessarily had that kind of example growing up. So it's kind of why I asked that question. Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, just with your family, it sounds like you had a great mom, but you might have had a tough time growing up, and the Marine Corps was kind of a way out for you. Was that kind of how you would picture it, or?
Yeah, so I was born in the United States, but I grew up in Dominican Republic. Okay. And my family, my mom and my dad were divorced when I was 6. My dad still lives in Dominican Republic, and my mom took my older brother, my sister, it's a younger sister, and me back to the United States. So Rhode Island, we talked about Rhode Island. So I lived in from the age of 9 to the age of 17. I lived in Rhode Island.
What part of Rhode Island?
Providence.
Okay.
Providence.
We'll be in Bristol. So
yep. Yeah. So when you mentioned that, I was my ears perked up. I was like, I know that place. But yeah, it wasn't the easiest life. We had single mom life where she was working all the time, and we were in, she put us in a lot of events to keep us busy, but it also wasn't easy because I was surrounded by, just a lot of drugs in my neighborhood. It wasn't ideal for a place for success. Also, my family wasn't really the type of family that was very supportive to me leaving or being or doing things that would make me potentially. They didn't set me up for success in that way. I mean, it was indirectly they did because it was a tough life, and I ended up kind of persevering, and now that's why I think I'm mentally strong because of it. But
so what was high school like for you? You can't get away that easily.
Well, I went.
Did you get in trouble?
I did not actually. I was a good kid. So I think that's the ironic part of it is that where I grew up, I went to school in an all boys school, middle school for inner city kids. It's called San Miguel School, which is it was a lifesaver for me. The staff there were great, and they were firm, but they were fair, and they set me up for success to go to high school to a place called LaSalle Academy, which is I got a scholarship to go there as a private high school, but I still lived in the same neighborhood, which was a crappy neighborhood in the inner city. So anytime I go back home in my uniform, you weren't cool if you were trying to get a good education, right? So I think the neighborhood itself, it kind of you have to fight the system to just do well because they would prefer you be doing sports or playing basketball or even like maybe selling drugs in the corner than focusing on your education. Education wasn't cool. So I had to fight the system, and eventually I had to leave the system. So the Marine Corps is definitely a saving grace for me because it allowed me to get away from not just my family, which wasn't really setting me up for success, but also get away from that neighborhood or that kind of lifestyle, and allow me to see and experience other things in the United States, the other great states that are out there, and experience other people in the Marine Corps, which eventually I think set me up with a different type of mentality for succce.
So when did you first dream about, or when did you first decide the Marine Corps was the direction you wanted to go?
It was in 2005. I was actually, so this is not the ideal Marine Corps story that most people would hear, but I mainly did it for a girl. So I was going to school in Champlain College in Vermont, and in 2003 to 2005, and I was dating a girl, and she said that she wanted to be a Marine, but she wouldn't do it unless I did it with her. And so I got my associates, and I
never even imagining that the chances of you both being deployed to the same place were virtually zero, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was. I tell people
even
that
if you did stay together. Yeah.
When I tell people this story, I was like, it was the stupidest decision I've ever made, but eventually it ended up with a happy ending or a happy continuation, right? Yep. So yeah, I joined the Marine Corps for a girl. I'm not her, so I'm not. So obviously, it didn't work out. But eventually, when she broke up with me, when I was in the Marine Corps. Still, I was deployed, and I was thinking like, why did I do it? You start to come into realizations like I didn't do this for myself. So what am I going to do? I took ownership of the decision I made and decided to just make the best of it. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to get past that next. I wasn't going to re-enlist. That wasn't in my mind. I wasn't going to continue after my years were up. I was going to get out because the girl that I joined for, she's not there anymore for me. So what's the point? When I shifted my mindset to take responsibility and ownership for that decision, everything shifted, and I started to love everything about the Marine Corps. I started to love what the Marines, what I was doing, and I found the purpose that I was, that purpose in the Marine Corps, and be able to develop myself. So eventually, it turned into, and I thank her for pulling me in the Marine Corps and then eventually putting me where I am today. But
Was it,
yeah,
is it captain today or?
Yeah, I'm a captain today.
Captain? Okay, congrats.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It wasn't. It wasn't the ideal Marine story that people like to hear, but that's the truth. And a lot of Marines come from different reasons, and they
Yeah.
get into people with different reasons. But at the end of the day, they have to realize that no one held a gun to their head and told them you have to join the Marine Corps. And even if those reasons why you joined are no longer there after a certain time, then you still have to take ownership. And once you do, everything becomes better. And that goes with everything in life.
Yeah, well, I think my sister's husband, they've been married now for, I think it's 35 years. Yeah, or 31 years. Yeah, 31 years because they got married in, no, 36 years because it was 1985, I believe, and he had just gone into, if you saw a picture of him, this, mid 80s, long hair type stuff going on, and then coming back with his high and tight, we barely even recognized him when he came back. And he was one of those that went in with questionable motive, or not motives, but it was kind of like, well, I don't know what else I'm going to do, so I might as well do this. So but I think he was in more than 10 years. He didn't quite make it to 20, but he was a mechanic for motorized artillery, so he was deployed for first Gulf War back in the day before social media and things like that. But all we had was CNN back in the day. But so Rebecca, back to your high school time. You said you kind of dropped the gymnastics thing. Was that like an injury thing, or just lost interest, or combination of the two, or?
It's actually a combination of the two.
Okay.
In 8th grade, it was kind of like a big crossroads for all the girls on my team, because high school is a big change, and you start thinking about college. And so I thought I was teetering back and forth between continuing and doing it through high school or stopping. And then it was April, my 8th grade year, and I was, at my regular practice, and I was vaulting, and I ended up dislocating my knee. And it was 4 days before the state championships, which were going to be that Saturday. That was a Tuesday. And that was a career-ending injury, basically, because it put me out for several months, physical therapy, the whole thing, the full leg brace. And so obviously I didn't compete in the state championships that weekend. And at that point, I had already had the possibility of not continuing with the sport was in my head. And then the injury kind of just sealed the deal for me. So I think, it was my time, and I focused on academics all through high school, and I'm glad I did. I got a great education in high school, all the AP classes and all that, and then into college. So
you overachiever, come on now. But
I was very much that person.
Well, I do know, because I had some friends that moved out to New Jersey, and their daughter was in gymnastics, and the world of gymnastics out on the East Coast, I think, is a whole different world. And if you're not all in, you're not going to make it anywhere.
Yeah, I was in California growing up, but it was.
Oh, you were? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I grew up in California. No, I mean, I think it's the same everywhere. Yeah. That's kind of how it was too for all the young gymnasts that I knew. Some of them went on and competed in college, and some stopped. It was kind of right around that high school time when people usually ended up stopping. And also, being I'm 5'4", and I was tallest on my team, and even shorter then, but being a tall gymnast is challenging, and we're all growing at the time, and so it was definitely it was my time for sure.
Yeah. What part of California did you grow up in? San Diego or Los Angeles? Okay. Great. And then how did you guys actually meet each other? It was just at college, or you ran each other at the gym, or what?
At the gym.
At the gym. Yeah.
Yeah, a mutual friend introduced us. So
I asked a mutual friend to introduce us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And was it kind of love at first sight type thing, or did it take a little while?
No, it was a friendship first, and he was.
That's when I say yes, and then she says it was not at the same time.
Maybe from his end it was, but he's 5.5 years older than I am, and so he went to college after deployment in order to become an officer. So he was much older than most of the college students on campus. So I was 19 at the time, and you were 24, and I was like, who's this creepy old guy talking? And but awesome. Obviously not creepy, but I felt young, and he seemed so old to me at that time. And so, but we became friends and started to work out together, and then we studied together and hung out all the time. And so, but we had a good friendship for about a year before we actually started dating.
Awesome. Yeah.
It was an investment.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So what's you mentioned a little bit about expanding the programs and things like that. In terms of, well, I don't know, I don't really want to turn this into talking about my workout program necessarily, but
Yeah.
what do you see a lot of your clients doing from when they log their workouts and things like that? Do you see a lot of morning stuff, lunchtime, evening, or a mix? Or do you guys even keep track of when workouts get logged? That kind of
Yeah,
thing?
we can see anytime somebody logs a workout, we get the workout log, so we can see, what they rated it on a scale of 1 to 10, which is actually great feedback for us. I like to see people rating it in the 5 to 7 range. I'm not trying to, make people totally exhausted that they can't work out the next day. And I don't want people to rate it a 2 or 3, because then they're probably not getting that much out of it, probably not going to stick around. So so far so good as far as the feedback we've been getting. But as far as time of day, it's also really interesting because we have members who are not even in the United States. We have a member in Italy, we've got a member in Panama, a couple in UK. So when it's whatever morning time for us, it's not morning time over there. So we get them all throughout the day with the workout reports. And so I'm trying to just create as much engagement as possible with the community group and get people to know each other and support each other and encourage each other to continue pursuing kettlebell training or, whatever training that they're focusing on and reach their goals.
Sure. And I do still have to do my intro post and things like that. So I'll get that done, but, and get some workouts in here too. So with me, it's a lot of, I've got to prep. I've got to do a better job of prepping things so that I don't have that excuse of, my 1-year-old is still sleeping. I can't go in and get my workout clothes or something like that early in the morning. And that kind of thing is really the hard part right now. And it's going to be a hard part as we travel around the country and things too. We're going to have a limited set of kettlebells, but that doesn't really matter as long as I can find the time to do it, I think, and that kind of a thing. So
totally. Yeah. And that's the great thing about both of the workouts of the day that we offer is body weight or kettlebell. So you either need no equipment or you need 1 or 2 kettlebells, and that's really it. So it's very achievable, very accessible. They're all pretty short, 15 to 25 minute workouts. And we know people have lives and schedules and demands on their time. And we want to be able to provide programs that still keep that in mind and allow people to get a great workout with minimal equipment and minimal time.
Sure.
Yeah, and when you go across the country and you go cross country trips, you can stop in the welcome signs too, and then just do the.
There we go. Yeah, we'll definitely be. I don't know how much I'll post on. I'm sure there'll be stuff on my Instagram page and things like that. My wife has one too that she'll be posting a lot of stuff on, but I know she's also feeling kind of the same way I am. So we'll see about getting her. Right now, we're just so swamped. She's like, really? You're joining a workout program now? Because we're like right in the middle of getting everything ready to go on the road. I'm like, well, I got to do it sometime. And I got to quit making excuses for falling off the bandwagon. So, so eventually, but yeah. But I know she wants to, we had kind of both gotten into that gym that we had gone to and just it's been tough for both of us, but we'll get there. So
yeah, it's the idea that it's never a good time, right? Something's always going to pop up, but if you and use your calendar, I've learned from her. You just got to put it in your calendar, and then use that calendar as the guide, pretty much telling you have to get it in, just like a doctor's appointment, right? You throw it in there like a doctor's appointment, and you don't want to miss a doctor's appointment, so don't miss your workout, and you throw it in just like that.
Yep. I don't know what else. What else do you guys want to talk about? I mean, how did you get to meet Jocko and things like that? Has that been a good experience for you so far?
Yes, fantastic. That's such a phenomenal group of people. Great Americans doing great things. So when I was living in San Diego last year, I got to go to the nationwide vitamin shop launch when Jocko Fuel products launched across the country. Vitamin shop. And Jocko lives in San Diego. So they did a whole, all day event at the vitamin shop in Balboa. And it was a Saturday. I had to work, but I got to get there for the last hour, and I got to meet Jocko and JP Donnell and Dakota Meyer, Echo Charles, the whole gang, and all of the Origin guys. So Pete and Brian, who founded Origin, they were there too to promote the products, and they had taste testing and all the stuff. So I ended up spending a good amount of time talking to them and just getting to know them all and just learning about their mission. And I really believe in what they're doing as far as, keeping all American made products, their entire supply chain, all of their employees, everyone is, just America and putting America first, American jobs, American products, and all the ingredients in their supplements and all of the in their apparel, also all the materials
jeans,
are all the boots, the jeans, everything is American made and sourced. So I love what they're doing, and I think they're right around 100 employees, but what they've been able to achieve with just 100 people is incredible, and they're growing very quickly. So when they asked me about a month after I met them, they asked me if I wanted to be one of their brand ambassadors, sponsored athletes. So I quickly said yes, and that was about a little over a year ago, last March. And so I'm happy to promote their products. And
did I see you both got a trip up to Maine a little while ago or something like that?
We did. We've gone up twice. Yeah, we got to see their factory and meet their entire team and see everything in action. It was an incredible experience. And Maine is beautiful. I mean, we went at a really nice time. We went in August and we went again in October. So beautiful time up there, but I know during the winter it's not.
No, and I'm from Wisconsin normally, so yeah, I can empathize with that it's not necessarily the best place to be in the winter, but we're hoping to avoid that now, at least for the most part with our travels. So
you can choose now where you're going to be with depending on
exactly. Yeah, we're going to be in North Carolina sometime in the October-November timeframe, and then kind of head west and eventually end up in California by the first week of December, because I've got a brother that lives in San Diego, funny enough. But yeah.
Where in San Diego?
La Mesa.
Okay. Very cool.
Yep. And we've actually stayed there's that campground at Pendleton that's right on the ocean there. So that was one of my favorite times. We got to camp there because the father-in-law that's a fighter pilot was able to get us in there to camp for a while, and it was always fun having the AVs go rolling by in the morning. And
it's really cool. It's amazing the properties that these military bases are in. If you think about it, Pendleton has all of that land in Southern California, which is beautiful. Beautiful for training, and it's great for training as well. But if you think about some of the military bases across the world, across the United States, you're thinking about Monterey, San Diego. Here you're looking at down in Norfolk, Norfolk, Virginia, Quantico. That area is beautiful as well. And it's just Henderson Hall, all those areas that you go to, and I'm sure you'll pass by on your road trips as well. They're just beautifully maintained and beautiful areas.
Yep. All right. So one last subject change. I'm going to kind of do a right angle because talking about Jocko supplements and things like that got me thinking. But can you talk about nutrition a little bit? Because I'm sure that's got to be, you're not just going to get there by strength training. I can tell I at least know that much. But what's your philosophy on nutrition and eating and things like that?
That is a very loaded question, but I will tackle it as best I can without going on.
And your opinions are your opinions, and I won't fault you for that. And I follow. I was doing keto for a while a few years ago, and I'm not sure. I don't think that can necessarily contribute. It didn't help me, but that's part of the problem of having a traveling work life. Is lots of times you're subject to restaurants and whatever food you can find on the road. But we have definitely gone to our more of a whole food type approach with my wife because we had a lot of fertility problems, and our 1.5-year-old, there's a 5-year gap between our 7-year-old, 5-year-old, and then 1-year-old. And the first two were born via fertility treatments. And then our last one was natural. And the only reason that ever happened is because we cleaned up our diets. And my wife had like her first regular, probably more information than anybody needs to know, first regular cycle in her whole life once we cleaned up her diet. So I don't know. But if you can talk about that from your perspective, that would be great.
I'm going to let her handle this. Marines don't eat very well. So
well, this one does.
I eat well, but the rest of the Marines.
So I
debate.
Yeah, exactly.
I have my certification through Precision Nutrition. I got certified with them in 2015. And one of the things I love about PN is that they don't subscribe to one type of eating. It's not like any of the schools. There's so many schools, and nutrition is such a polarizing subject with people's like politics. Everyone's got their school that they love, and everything else is wrong, and we should not do it. Don't listen to those people. They don't know what they're talking about. And I think that most people would do better to like not subscribe to one of these like the gospel of this nutrition protocol, and would just do better to zoom out a little bit and just focus on making better choices. Because you know, most of the schools that are so extreme, like the keto and the intermittent fasting and the paleo and high fat, high protein, the carnivore, like there's so many, and they're all very conflicting in many cases. So how do you know what's right? And the answer is that it's different for everybody. Like there is no one perfect way to eat, because the perfect way for him is different than the perfect way for me is different than the perfect way for you. And perfect isn't really even what we're going for. So I think that when it comes to my clients, at least, and myself, the way that I like to tackle nutrition is to just guide people and educate them, not on and say like, follow this protocol or anything. And that's, again, one of the things I love about precision nutrition is that they just provide knowledge. Here's the science. Here's what we know. Here's what the research shows. Take this information and make the choices that are right for you. And I think that's what most people should be doing, instead of, you know, reading this social media post and being like, this is it. That's what I got to do. This is the magic pill.
Yeah.
And so I think that, you know, knowledge is power. And then, of course, like we talked about earlier, taking action. And one of the things I like to do for my clients is just provide them with the knowledge, encourage them to make better choices, and do them consistently, because that's another thing that people struggle with is staying consistent with whatever it is they're going to do. So I do a lot of work on habit coaching and tracking in the app as well, so that over time, because, you know, small changes implemented consistently over time lead to very significant results. And so that's the way that I like to tackle nutrition.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and that was kind of the big difference we found too. Was we found a book called The Plan by it was a Linjanae Recitas, and it's kind of like an elimination diet, but it's designed to help you find the foods that work for your body, and not necessarily eat asparagus because everybody says asparagus is good. Well, it may work for me, but it doesn't work for my wife. And so it's an involved process. It takes time, but trying to find those foods for us that don't make our stomachs upset, that don't make us retain weight the next day or gain weight or feel like crap the next day is kind of the focus that she has with it. So
yeah, and I mean, there are certain things out there that we know that you shouldn't be having, like those crazy energy drinks like Red Bull or Bang, those things, right? Those are not good for you. A lot of added sugar, also not good for you. But it's but to say that, you know, you shouldn't eat carbs, or to say you shouldn't eat, you know, these types of fats or anything like that because this other guy or this gal is not doing it. Look how shredded they are. It may not necessarily work that way for you.
Yeah, I'm generally not in favor of like avoiding a one food or entire food group. I think that that's generally misguided. I think that there is a place, like you said, you know, carbs seems to this decade it's carbs, last decade it was fat. So in terms of food groups were fearing. So I think that there's a place for all of that in a healthy diet. And I don't think that elimination of an entire, unless there's a food allergy, of course, but that would be the only case where I would say avoid an entire food group or an entire food is if there's an allergy to it. But I think in general, elimination or taking extreme measures is unsustainable. And so when it comes to making long-term habit changes, we want to look at what's going to be sustainable for life. And if it's implying a 30-day, like there's a timeline on it, it's not going to work, because what's going to happen after those 30 days are up? You're going to go right back to like what you were doing before, and then all the changes you made are going to slowly go back to where you were before. So when it comes to that, it's really what can you implement, and then what can you sustain?
Yep. That sounds great. So one last question. What does a typical day look like for the two of you right now?
Right now?
Right now it's a little
with your launch of your new program and things like that, and I can imagine it's a little more crazy.
We had more hours in the day right now, but we are doing pretty well to still maintain our workouts and take some time with each other. Whenever she makes or I make food, we'll switch back and forth, but we'll sit down and eat and just kind of put things away, put the phones away, and talk a little bit, just not business related, just remind ourselves that we're still married, not just business partners. So that's a good time of the day. But yeah, it's been very, very busy, but it's so rewarding because of the community we're building as you know, that you're part of it, and it's like our little baby. We don't have any kids, but that's like our little baby.
Sure, sure.
Yeah,
Brooke,
so
anything else to add?
What's that?
Anything else to add?
Yeah, if you're looking for like what our typical day looks like, it's getting up. It's funny because when we were apart, we both will get up pretty early because he has PT 3 times a week and he has to get up, be on campus at 5:45 a.m. But when we're together now, it's like we're staying up so much later because we're just in it. We get in the flow, and we just, before we know it, it's 11 p.m. So going to bed a little later than we would like these last few weeks, just with the launch of the membership and all that. But
sure.
A lot of work. We try to every hour, at the top of the hour, we get up from our chairs and come into our little living room is also like
get a little blood flow going kind of thing. Yeah.
We're a little recording studio / living room here, and we'll do 20 reps of squats or 5-inch worms or push-ups or something, just to stop sitting so much and get up and get the blood flowing. So we're pretty consistent with that. And then at some point in the day, either midday or late afternoon, we'll get our workout in. If it's nice out, we go outside. But besides that, he's over here on this side of the room. I'm at the kitchen table over here, and we both have our little workstation. We're glued to our computers. I've got some checking calls with my clients throughout the day. He's got work calls, so we check in with our schedules. What time are you on calls? What time am I on calls? And make sure we're not conflicting. If we are, one of us goes in the other room. Sure. And we just make it work in our little apartment right now till we move.
But I think that's actually a pretty cool thing, because we get to experience what a lot of our members are experiencing, which is a busy lifestyle, trying to do everything from home, or even if they're back in their office, and living that experience of what they're experiencing allows us to kind of program our exercise or our workouts a little better, and gives a little more perspective. Because if we program for someone, or if we're saying that we're doing this, that you can do this anywhere, anytime, then and we know that we can that we're busy but we can still do it, then we know that that's something that our members can do as well, and we're not programming something or making something that our members can't do. So it's a good experience to be able to go through this with our members as well.
Yeah, we've been doing workout of the day ourselves the last week or so, just because we're so busy. We don't want to go on campus. We work out in the outdoor gym area, and we'll, it's a 15-minute drive there, and we'll work out for an hour and a half. It's like a 2-hour thing. So on our busier days, we don't have time. We take our kettlebells and take these bad boys, go right outside in the big grass area up front, and we'll just do the workout of the day outside.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Sounds good. Sounds great. Well, anything else? Any final thoughts?
I think that we covered a lot of ground last hour.
Yeah, some good questions. I like that. Yeah.
I try anyway. So, well, I really appreciate you both coming on, and you both have a great story, and I'm excited to be a part of the program and see where you can take it and see where it can go from here. And just, I mean, don't feel free to call me out on the carpet a little bit, please, and that kind of thing. But my goals are I've never been like an upper body strength person, so that's always been my struggle. I was cross country runner in high school and runner in college, and then triathlon doesn't necessarily require a lot of upper body strength either. So that's always been my struggle, is getting to the point where I can do things like pull-ups and stuff like that. So that's my biggest goal out of all this, is and I was getting close last summer, and then we fell off the face of the earth. So that's one of my goals, is getting to the point of being able to do some decent pull-ups, and then getting back into running and things like that as well, so that I can get those I need to be able to run to a certain extent. I just want to be able to get back to that point again. So those are kind of my goals I'll lay out there for now. But
love it. Well, check out the pull-up program. That's in the programs library. It's a 8-week program just geared toward helping people either get their first pull-up if they've never done it, or improve quantity and quality of pull-ups. So it's a very comprehensive, mostly upper body focused, a little bit of lower body, but I'd say 90% upper body. Great program. I've had some people that have done it have had a lot of success with increasing their pull-up.
Are you going to be, you say you're going to be traveling with a camper?
Yeah, fifth wheel camper. Yep.
Nice. Is there a way to attach a pull-up bar to that thing on the outside?
I don't know. I've got to look at that. I'm just not sure about hanging that much weight off the side of it, kind of a thing. Yeah, but I might be able to do workarounds on it and be able to So there's like the pin in the front that hooks up to the truck. I might be able to hang something off of that at least enough to do something along those lines. So I got to play with that. I will definitely think about that though.
You can patent that, and you can give it to all the people who are going to be traveling.
There you go. Yeah. Yep. So, all right. Well, I really appreciate it. And I thank you for coming on the podcast, and everybody out there, go take a look at Semper Stronger on Instagram, Rebecca Rouse, Joeller Blades, and they've got a lot of great content and a lot of great things out there. So I really appreciate it. And thanks for coming on.
Thank you
for having us.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.